Okay, hi people. This is the third time we've tried to do this Talky Blog, and Fred's not very happy about
No.
it because she had to tell a story,
I
and
went
it's kind
through,
of long.
yeah, I went through about
5 minutes.
5 minutes, about 75% of the story, and then it stopped, and we're like, what the hell? And then we looked.
Okay, well, tell your story really quick. Why? Okay, go.
Okay. Well, I'll just curtail it. Anyways, I got home from working at Marion Court last night, and I got myself a piece of pie and sat on the couch next to my mom.
Which is funny because she didn't like pie.
Right. But it was blueberry pie, and I'll tolerate it. Anyways, so I sat on the couch next to my mom, and we started talking, and we got on the subject of animals, and I'm not sure exactly how it came about, but my mom started looking really, like, solemn, and I was like, what the hell? And, she's like, and I don't really remember what she said, but I got the feeling that some animal that I knew had died. So I was like, oh my god, Coda died. And Coda's my friend Pam's dog, who is about 12 years old, and she looks like death, and she's looked like that for a while. So I was like, oh, she must have died, that must be what it is. And my mom shakes her head, and she's like, no. And I was like, well then what the hell is it? And she's like, it's your rabbit. And I was like, what? What? Oh my god! Oh my god! Seriously, I did that, and I wasn't saddened. I was just shocked because my rabbit was 7 years old, and normally you don't think that a rabbit would live that long, especially my rabbit, because my rabbit was 7 years old, but she'd only been healthy for about 9 months of those 7, which isn't a good ratio, and so I mean, for years I've thought she was gonna be dead when I went down there, and it finally happened, but I didn't discover it, thank God. So anyway, she's like, yeah, she's dead. Dad found her tonight. He went down, poked at her, and she's dead. And I was like, are you sure? Yeah, she's dead. So I'm like, oh great. This is just great, because it's like 10:30 at night, and I'm like, I don't want to go down and find my dead rabbit and have to deal with this right now, especially because she's dead, and it would just freak me out. So my mom's like, well, I think Dad went to sleep, so you better go up and find him. So I went upstairs, found him, and I was like, Dad, I hear you found my rabbit dead in the basement. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, is she really dead? And he's like, yeah, she is definitely dead. So I was like, well, did you do anything with her? And he's like, no. I was like, you didn't put her in the freezer or anything, because that's what we used to do. Because if a pet died, we used to take it, put it in a box, label it "Don't eat," whatever pet it was, put in
like, who does this? Seriously, who does this?
It's to preserve them until you're ready to bury them.
That's just strange. I wouldn't put an animal in the freezer.
Well, you haven't had very many animals. We've had many. Usually hamsters, parakeets when the box isn't in the freezer.
Okay, moving on.
Anyways, so he hadn't moved her. She was just sitting dead in the cage, and I was like, dear God, she could have been there for like 3 days, because the last time I had checked on her was on Monday. My mom had went down and checked her on Tuesday, and no one had seen them Wednesday or Thursday. And it's Thursday night. So she could have been dead Tuesday and rotting in the cage, next to the other rabbit, who was probably freaked out because there was a dead rabbit sitting next to her rotting. And my parents told me it was stinking up the basement too, so I'm like, that's good too. So my dad comes down, because I'm like, I'm not dealing with the dead rabbit in the cage, I can't do that. So we try and figure out what to put the rabbit in. And we're thinking, oh, maybe we should put it in a box, but we couldn't really find a box. My dad's like, well, let's put it in a trash bag. So he pulls out a white trash bag for, like, a kitchen trash. And my mom's like, you can't use that. You really can't use that. And he's like, why? I'm like, you could see her right through it, because it's pretty pale white. So we find a big, like, black trash bag. And we go in the basement, and we turn the corner around the first basement door frame. And you can't really see the cage yet, and my dad goes in first, and then I go in. And I get into where you can see the cage, and I freaked out, and I was like screaming, oh my god, and I ran up the stairs, and I could not deal with it. But I was like, I don't want to make my dad deal with my dead rabbit. So I go down, and it was awful and traumatic, because what I saw was my dead rabbit sitting in the cage, and she's facing the doorway, and I'll imitate it so you can see what this would have looked like, but I'll also describe. She was lying on her side, with her feet straight up in the air, all of them, like Rigamortus style, and her head was backwards, and you could see her teeth, and it was disgusting. It was like this, and it was awful, just awful, traumatic, and terrible to see a rabbit dead like that. So I freaked out.
There's more?
Oh, there's more.
My God, your story is so long.
I talk a lot. I'm sorry. So, anyways, so I find a better thing to put the rabbit in, which is my sister's old printer box, which, of course, she had to send the rebate in for, and there's a hole in the bottom, but we're like, whatever. So my dad goes to take the rabbit out of the cage, because I can't pick up my dead rabbit and put it in the cage. And he goes to try and take her out. And, because her claws are like this, like, with the claws out and everything, what happened was, I don't know what the hell happened, actually, but she must have clawed out, and she got her paws through the wire of the cage, and they were stuck into the wire. So, she's got her little claws like this, stuck in the wire. And my dad goes to take her out, and he's trying to extract her claws from the wires, and I'm freaking out, like, laughing, because it's terrible, because I don't do well with that, I just laugh. And so my dad starts laughing, he's like, Allison, you need to leave, because he could not, like, be under control. So I went upstairs and told my parents, my sister and my mom, how traumatic the whole scene was. So I come back downstairs, the rabbit's in the box, and of course, that box has the hole in it. That's where her face is. Really freakish. Freaking me out.
Poor friend.
Yeah, it was awful. So we put the box inside the black trash bag that we were supposed to use. And we put it in the third basement, ready to go out the door. So we kind of left it for the night. The little rabbit was freaked out. We took her out and loved her like we didn't love the other one. Which is sad, but true. And then today I went outside and dug myself a grave, and my parents were like, well, I hope you dug that damn hole pretty deep, because we have coyotes and foxes and God knows what else that are gonna come and dig it up and eat it, because it's not in, like, Tupperware or tin or anything. So we'll see, because I didn't dig it that deep, because I hit a rock. So...
Boy, you sure know how to take care of pets.
You know what? She lived...
Even in death.
You know what? Whatever. It was terrible, though. It was awful.
Good story, Fred.
I thought it was. But yeah.
That was fun. Okay, well, we're gonna go, because this is getting really long, because Fred apparently likes to talk a lot. So say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.